is going on, Clippers fans? Welcome to a Friday happy hour hang with myself, Chuck Mockler, and Adam Osland. Tomer Azarli supposedly joining us later to talk about his awesome exclusive about Zoo that came out earlier that I am going to put in this chat. We're here today to we're talking about Zoo. We're not talking about anything else. We're de-stressing from the last couple difficult weeks of being a Clippers fan. Adam, how are you doing?
I'm okay. Trying to de-stress. A little frustrated. Couldn't get my headphones working earlier. But you know what? Media Day is Monday. A lot to look forward to. Ivica Zubac in a big, big season at the age of 28.
Yeah. Also, for those of you who didn't know, Media Day is on Monday, which it's going to be an interesting one. I think when this is all we're really going to talk about this particular subject. We're not even going to say the proper nouns for it. We're going to hear a lot of corporate speak at Media Day, which is usual for the Clippers. It won't be anything new. Just don't expect any bombshells, I would say to fans who are maybe hoping for some kind of large moment. I don't think it's happening on Monday. You'll be there on Monday as well.
Yeah, I mean, Lawrence Frank is set to speak before any of the players. So
Yeah.
maybe he'll address it, and that'll be it. And I'm sure any questions directed towards players that have anything to do with the NBA investigation will quickly be put out by saying, hey, there's an NBA investigation going on. And what do you expect anybody to say? Nobody's going to say anything.
Do you have a favorite Media Day? Random question. Do you have a favorite Media Day?
A favorite Media Day?
Yeah. I don't know who this is. I hope it's Tomer. The one where Doc didn't show up and didn't speak to the media just from a purely dramatic angle was my favorite.
I like when Mike Scott said from the outside looking in on this Clippers team, they ain't no bitches.
Yeah, that was a fun time. This is Joseph trying to join the stream. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm looking forward to Media Day. I will not be able to be there because I have to be at work, but Adam will be covering everything you need, and we'll be doing an episode later in the week kind of breaking down how it went. Joseph Fry Award is trying to join the stream. We are hearing the tones. We're doing our best. Okay, so this is actually a great question from that Mexican Nara that I wanted to talk about. We loved Zoo's year last year. His usage was great. It felt like it was coming together. Do we think the additions of Brook and Collins, I would say, and Beal, just in terms of mouths to feed, how are we feeling about that as of September 26th, what year is 2025?
Yeah, we've talked about it a little bit before, but I do have concerns over Ivica Zubac getting lost in the shuffle. Per usual, really seems like he took some major strides, and as did the Clippers, really, last season with getting him more involved consistently, finally. And it paid dividends, as many of us thought it would if they ever played through Ivica Zubac a little bit more. So I don't want to see his usage going down. I think naturally it could. He may end up playing under 30 minutes this season just because they have a very capable backup in Brook Lopez. But if that keeps him healthier, if that keeps him fresher, so when he's out there, he's always giving maximum – I don't want to say maximum effort, but he's closer to the peak of his abilities because he's fresh. That's great. That could make him even more dangerous. So
Joseph Fry Award made the stream.
He's in for out.
Thanks, Spectrum.
Yeah, I also thank you for letting me use your Spectrum sometimes. I wanted to look up. We're talking Zoo and his usage next year with the new additions. I was going to look up his usage rate right now just so we have some kind of his usage in 23-24, 16.5%, 24-25, 19.5%. His highest since 18-19. How are you feeling about Big Zoo's year? Also, please drive safe.
I will. I almost put a mint in, like I'm not doing an audio medium right now.
We can smell it. We should pop the mint in. I think that's okay.
No, it's good. It's going to be good talking. Well, anyway, so obviously Zoo did what I think a lot of people clamored for him to do for so long. And I think he even exceeded the expectations of many. Not me, though. I am hoping to see the usage rate trend continue. And I'm looking for a season 24, maybe 25%.
I don't think 25% is happening. Adam, your take on 25% usage for Zoo?
I'd sign up for 19% again because it's going to be tougher with just how much they've improved the team this summer, specifically in the front court. But that's okay. I think he could still, even if he gets the ball less, like I think Ivica Zubac is more comfortable in his role, and the Clippers are more comfortable with getting him involved and knowing where he needs to be. So he can still just be a more efficient player overall, even if he does get a few less touches.
Do we think he finally has a longer leash? Like defensively, he was so great last year. He was getting, all defensive team talk and all that stuff. Like at this point, and I don't want to fool myself, he's got to have the full trust, respect, whatever word you want to use from Ty Lue to go out there and do the right stuff, even if he hits some kind of a lull.
I think he had it last year. He closed games. Like, I don't think that was an issue at all. Now, if Coach Lue falls in love with John Collins playing small ball at the starting five to close out games, or Brook Lopez is having a big game, shooting-wise,
you play them together. You got Brook at the 4, Zoo at the 5, obviously.
John Collins at the 3.
Kawhi at the 2.
Yep. Well, that's if he's still on the team. We don't know.
Hey, we're not. There was no news this week, so we're not talking about it.
I needed to get Kawhi takes off my chest. I've been in a box, not able to talk about this for so long. But it's okay. We'll ignore it. It's okay.
I'll let you fire off a couple when you got to get out of here. I am ignoring it this week because I have coworkers who are like, and I don't want to get into it. It's been a stressful week at the museum with people who know nothing about sports giving me their
classic
on what
classic museum water cooler talk is cap circumvention.
Apparently now this is the hell we live in. I think Zoo. Yeah, Joseph, where are you at on the trust from Tyler? I think Adam's right. I like that point. He was closing games. He played. I mean, it was his best season ever. Like, it would be hard to not have the trust. No,
he should have it. He should have it, and I trust that he does have it. However, I do not trust Ty Lue and the center position flatly. Period. End of story. Don't think that man has a grasp on what to do with that position. So I think it'll be better, but I don't think that it's like fixed, if that makes sense.
The depth is a lot better, which helps it be like that makes me sleep so much easier at night.
And there's less of an excuse not to play with a traditional big, which Ty Lue could get away with before because they didn't have somebody of the quality of Brook Lopez backing up Ivica Zubac.
He can make mistakes, but they should have better outcomes than they have in the past.
Yeah, and they still I'm excited to see Ivica Zubac and James Harden in another full season after another off season together. James Harden does wonders for his big men. He was great for Ivica Zubac last season. I still think Zoo has been wildly underused throughout most of his tenure with the Clippers, and last year they finally gave him the ball more, and it worked. And I don't think he became a different player over last summer, but they can keep refining things, those two working in tandem, and they could get a little bit cleaner, and maybe there's less turnovers at the end of games like we saw to start off last season before Kawhi came back with the James Harden. So just that familiarity and building more chemistry with those two can only be good for this team.
Yeah, I like what you said, and I like this point. I guess I don't like this point from Johnny626 because I thought Zoo's passing was really good last year. Out of the short roll, I thought he did improve his passing. Now with the starting lineup, you have more shooters Zoo can pass to, right? Like there's more spacing. Someone brought this up. Punk's Gone Wrong said, with more shooters on the court, Joseph's out of here. He said, with more shooters on the court, is there more room in the paint for Zoo to work? Which I think is totally true. I think Zoo's passing is good enough to where guys, an extra guy can't come over and try and bat out of his hands or something. That kind of like that defense like that the Mavs would play in those series where they just wouldn't get foul calls and he'd just get beat to hell. There's more guys to operate and receive a pass from Zoo from behind the arc, which has me really excited. I don't think he's going to average like 6 assists, but he might average 4, which would be his highest, I think.
Yeah, I guess it depends on how much Chris Dunn is playing compared to last year. How much is
4 would be a lot. He averaged, he averaged almost 3 assists last year, which was double his of any other year. So I think he could get to 4.5 assists. I would love that for Zoo.
Yeah, and if he's more of a threat, I mean, that only helps open up the game for others out there. So I do think his reputation precedes him a little bit, where teams have to key in on him and focus on him a little bit more, and he can use that to his advantage with getting some easy passes and getting some easy assists. And he is, as you mentioned, out of the short roll, especially last season, he was making the right decision. He was making quick decisions. So that's only going to get better from him. And, yeah, they could have one more shooter on the floor a little bit more often than they had last season. But, again, there can be a trade-off there on the defensive end. As much as people are saying because of what happened in the playoffs with Chris Dunn, and that was the last we saw from him, that he needs to play less and they need more shooting out there. You got to understand, this team made their bones on the defensive end last season.
Yeah.
So I don't want to see them chip away too much at that identity. If they're so good offensively, maybe it won't matter. But it was really nice to have a team where you knew exactly what you were getting, at least on one side of the ball, each and every night last year.
100%. You were getting elite. Yeah. Scott Tran brings up a good point. Hopefully Zoo improves his free throw percentage this season. Last season was an anomaly for his free throw percentage, I think.
He started really slow. He picked it up the second half.
Exactly. He shot 66% from the line, which was his worst mark since he was a rookie, since he was 19 years old. I think last year was an anomaly. He was at 72% the year before that, 70%, 73, 79. Like he will be above 70%. You know what? Like I think last year was an anomaly.
Yeah.
He was taking 3 a game last year. Obviously it would have been nice for him to have a better percentage, but the Clippers didn't lose games because Zoo was missing threes. But I hope it bounces back. I think, Scott, I totally agree with you here. I hope it bounces back.
He shot 71% the last 28 games post All-Star break.
There we go.
I'm not overly concerned about it at all. I think it was in his head a little bit early on. You could see there's some frustration at the line.
Yeah.
And
you can tell when Zoo's frustrated, which I kind of like. Like when he got subbed out, I don't think it was that first playoff series against the Warriors where it was like, oh, he's not ready to play defense against this kind of team yet. It might where he like slammed the chair or something like that, and he doesn't show a lot of emotion, or at least he didn't at that time. It's nice to see him like really feel it, I guess, because you can tell he wants to improve as he has every year he's been on the Clippers.
Yeah, and he's been demonstrative at times the last few years when he feels like I think he's doing his part defensively and guys aren't rotating. He's gotten into it with Kawhi at times. I think all that stuff's good because it shows how tight-knit this team is. Or if you can see guys, or if you do see guys being that animated with one another, and then, the next game or the next time in the huddle, it's already calmed down. Like
I need more of this pose here, though, if I'm being honest. I need more of the shrug is what I'm looking for next year.
Yeah, but it's a team that moves on very quickly because everybody knows their teammate is rooting for them, and they are a close knit group. But Ivica Zubac also gets a really bad whistle, and sometimes, as much as it's fair to complain about, because I think he's gotten a really bad whistle at times. Sometimes he lets it eat at him for a couple possessions, and you
Yeah,
can see some bad body language out there.
he's a
That's
sulker.
the downside.
He can sulk a little bit. My dad's side of the family is a sulk family. He sulks a little bit, but it's because he cares. And he bounces back, like you mentioned. He's usually incredibly consistent, right? Like it's not like he sulks and then it's like he's missing gimmies or something like that, for the most part.
Yeah. And yes, you guys, as Michael Scott saying in here, an extremely bad
Horrible whistle. One of the worst, other than when Paul George was good and on the Clippers. Zoo gets the worst whistle of anyone on the Clippers in the 2-1-3 era.
Yeah, I think so. But he gets hacked. I mean, it's the old Shaq theory where they let little guys get a little bit more handsy with bigger players because
They're pounding on a door, basically.
yeah, Alex Caruso versus Nikola Jokic in the second round. They let him get away with all kinds of stuff.
I feel like he hit him with like a crippler crossface at one point, and they were like, "This Caruso's so scrappy." You get that defensive, that first team all defense. If you're a small guard, and you can just whack the shit out of people.
Yeah, his rep definitely helped him get away with a lot more against bigger guys than Jokic, as we saw. But Ivica Zubac last season, if that's the start of his peak or the start of him reaching his prime, I think we're in for some really exciting play at the center position between him and Brook Lopez this year. That's a real strength. How many teams have a better 1-2 punch at center than the Clippers, honestly?
This is a very funny bad nickname. Zub Duel Hakeem O'Neal. Perfect. Love that. Yeah, I can't tell you how excited I am for competent backup center minutes. It's been, since Isaiah Hartenstein, it has been a nightmare. There has not been a good backup center who's like still in the league in any capacity in which they're playing minutes to kind of really help the team. You know what? Like how many ex-Clippers centers are on like Exhibit 10s now or something like that? At least two, Kai Jones and Moses Brown, I know of.
And Brook Lopez is starting center caliber.
Yeah.
He could have gone somewhere else and been a starting center this season. Maybe if he goes to the Lakers, they don't end up getting DeAndre Ayton, and he's their starting center. You know, he was doing it for over 30 minutes a game last year in Milwaukee. He's a couple years removed from being second in Defensive Player of the Year. He may be 37, but he still moves well out there, and he's so savvy and is a smart, cerebral player that at 15 to 20 minutes a night, you're really going to get the best out of him now, backing up Big Zoo.
And I'm excited. Michael Scott. Most people thought he wasn't tall. That was our Twitter account's best tweet was from Adam. You don't think Moses Brown is tall?
That was one of my best trolls. It was him
so
next
funny.
to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. For all the haters that say Moses Brown isn't even that tall.
It's so good. That was his peak on the Clippers, was your tweet about him. I'm excited too defensively because offensively with backup centers, you had Mason Plumlee doing behind the back passes and like just a bunch of weird, like a Tony Roten impression. And defensively, backup center is like the worst position defensively in the NBA. Like there's not a lot of backup centers who are even just okay at defense. Like your backup center is usually just a sieve. And so now we have a guy who is very much not a sieve and able to like help. It's going to help the bench as a whole so much that the guy at, in the dunker spot or whatever is going to be able to play above average. if not just average defense.
Yeah, that's a point we've kind of been making over the last year, that as much as people complain about the Clippers backup center situation, you look across the league
Dude.
and it's a
Who's
problem throughout.
Yeah,
It's
who's the
not-
best backup center other than Lopez than Brook?
That's a good question. I mean, Isaiah Hartenstein.
He's so good. So Hart's better than Lopez. I don't think anyone. EG 4000. I hope you're not listening. For the real listeners who remember EG,
I think it's pretty close. Now, Isaiah does start a lot next to Chet.
That's true.
He's not a 3-point shooter. At least he hasn't shown that yet, like Brook Lopez. He doesn't have that dimension to him.
He's gotten better defensively.
Yeah, if you look at still post defense numbers, I think Brook Lopez has him beat there, honestly.
Passing
it's close. He's younger, so
better passer.
That is meaningful. But I was looking, Ivica Zubac's on-off splits. They're almost 13 points per 100 possessions better with Ivica Zubac on the floor versus off. So it's just this huge swing last year with Zoo, without Ivica Zubac. And now, for the first time since they had Hartenstein, and they had a top 10 defense that year in 21-22, and I think it's because they had him coming in off the bench. So for the first time since then, you have more continuity between styles of play, with still having a traditional big man out there, although he can stretch the floor a little bit, but traditional rim protector out there. That probably is the best case, or the best argument for why they could keep a top 5 defense this season, even if they're playing Chris Dunn and Derek Jones less. Just the fact that you have a backbone with your second unit with Brook Lopez. That's meaningful.
Those on-off numbers make so much sense, because the Clippers' backup centers last year was a triumvirate of Mo Bamba, Drew Eubanks, and Kai Jones. 3 guys not necessarily known to be defensive stalwarts.
No, and so if Zubac is playing less minutes,
shout out Drew Eubanks, Australia's own,
because you got Brook Lopez playing 18 to 20 minutes a night, that's okay.
Yeah.
I think long term, and the long game with Ivica Zubac is, if this is one of your core pieces, and we know he is, and he's on a team-friendly deal, this is one of your core pieces moving forward. You want to extend his prime and his longevity as much as you can.
Mm-hmm.
So having somebody that can take the burden off him, even though he's just 28, and it's like, yeah, he's in his prime, let him run. It's
9
like, no,
seasons in the league. Yeah, like that's a lot of pro basketball, even no matter how young you are.
Yeah. I want to keep as much tread on his tires as possible moving forward. And I think Brook Lopez helps with that. And maybe that can help Ivica Zubac have a longer and also higher peak for longer with this Clippers team.
I like that you're talking about longevity with Zoo and his legacy with the Lopez addition. I also love what it does potentially for his playoff minutes, because Lopez, we all love Zoo on this pod, but the conditioning has been something that it's a thing, right? Like, there was a reason why he didn't play a bunch of minutes for some seasons, because the conditioning or whatever wasn't where it needed to be, so he could play at the high level we know he can for that many minutes. Now it's like, well, now in the playoffs, maybe we get the 35-minute Zoo. You know what I mean? Like, Lopez can save some regular season miles, which is huge for a guy like Zoo, and like CP3 can save some a little bit for Harden in terms of initiating the offense. Also, what up, Fahad?
Well, even last year in that first round series, I think Zoo was averaging around maybe even more than 35 per game.
Yeah. But whatever the more would be, you know what I mean? Like, he'll be fresher. I'm excited for that.
He was almost at 37. Well, yeah, it doesn't hurt.
Because Drew Eubanks was the other. Yeah.
But he was
playoff Drew.
It's not like we saw Ivica Zubac wear down, and by the end of games, Nikola Jokic was more effective against him. He was steady. He was steadily very good against Jokic, as good as you can be throughout that entire series. So I'm not too concerned with it, but yeah, you're going to get a better version of Ivica Zubac the more gas he has left in the tank, and Brook Lopez can provide that.
I like this question. We don't do a lot of debate stuff on this show because we're, I don't know, chill guys, I guess. Shar is asking Zoo or Cat? It's a good question.
It's funny. I used to get into it with a guy about Zoo versus Sabonis, which...
Oh, I know. Anyway, sorry. Give me the guy who can actually play like the real center position all day.
Well, up until this year, Sabonis has a bunch of numbers, and he's like Jokic light. You could make that argument. But to me, I always said I want a guy that can play the 5 and I trust as being a defensive stalwart and anchor there because it means so much to your defense. And I think Ivica Zubac always projected better on a championship team. I don't think you can win a championship with Sabonis being your number 1 player or your number 2 player, because that means he's playing 40 minutes a night. He's not a great rim protector out there. He's a little bit undersized. He is a good rebounder, but some of those stats look a little bit fugazi to me with Sabonis, who I do love as a player.
Of course. I feel like Sabonis gets like those rebounds that like Steph would get as a guard. Like he gets like guard rebounds, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I would also say, you mentioned he is Sabonis light. I would say he is Joker light. I would say he is diet caffeine free Joker. He is, you know what I mean? Like he's that can where you're like, I've never seen this before.
Safeway diet. But I think there are similarities between him and Cat. Cat also maybe even a worse defender than Sabonis. A better offensive player, I think, overall, because he gets more proven with stretching the floor.
That's real. And his post game is good.
I have the same questions about Cat at the highest level. Can you win with him playing the 5 in an NBA Finals series? Maybe. But they want to play him next to Mitchell Robinson at the 4, and he can do that because he can stretch the floor.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. He's less of a traditional big to me, and that's what I value. Even though, yes, the OKC Thunder, they had Chet, they had Isaiah Hartenstein. Chet's still very raw. But those guys, they're pretty unique. And their defense was so good, and Chet's a really good, especially help side defender, and he can still improve with his one-on-one defense, but he's still much better than Cat overall on the defensive end.
Yeah.
While maybe not being the traditional center that I'm talking about here with the Ivica Zubac, like he still gets it done for you. I can't rely on non-defensive big men winning a championship for me.
I like this part by that Mexican Nara. He gets into foul trouble. Some of those fouls in the playoffs from Cat, like he's running it. He's like a guy's behind. You know what I mean? Like there were some fouls from Cat where it's like, now say what you want to say with Cat with a coach like Van Gundy, but right now his decision making on defense. This is a great point. He gets into foul trouble a lot.
If you have
in weird ways, like not like he's trying to make plays that make sense. They're foolish fouls, and I love. He's very good. I'm not. But, this is a good point, Nara.
If you're talking about a play-in level team talent-wise, and you need somebody to be your number 1 option and carry them to the playoffs as a very low seed, Cat's the better option there. Yeah. If you want to win at the highest level, I think it might be Ivica Zubac. Now, he's not going to be your number 1 or even number 2 option there, but I don't think Cat can do that, honestly. So I'd rather have Zoo as a compliment
than Cat as your 1.
Yeah, and have
I
a
like that.
different number one or number two, and Ivica Zubac is at least holding things down on the defensive end.
I like that point. Yeah, Zoo is as a foundational piece. I think you put it on the last slide we did with Russo, which is a great way to reference Zoo. He's a foundational piece for the team versus paying Cat 30 whatever percentage of your cap. Yeah, I would feel a lot better about that.
All this was not even taking into account how much more Cat makes than Ivica Zubac, but that's also
It's
something you
huge.
have to think about.
Zoo makes $20 million a year. We have him locked up until 27, 28. He is an unrestricted free agent when he's 31 years old. The Clippers aim to have that cap space. So he's at $20 million a year. Cat is at a cool 53 next year, 57, $61 million player option 27, 28. So the value, Zoo is, and I know that money is weird right now in the NBA. Zoo is a borderline value contract at $20 million a year.
I think he's probably the best deal in the NBA, honestly. I think he's at least all first team best deals in the NBA.
I was just going to make a joke that would have hurt all of our feelings.
I have an idea where you could be going with this, but
I think, I would say, well, not until Kawhi gets his contract void and has to sign for the minimum. I'm sorry. I don't think that's going to happen, but the joke was there.
All this is probably moot because New York ideally, I think, would want Cat at the 4, Mitchell Robinson playing the 5. So we're not even comparing a 4-5 to Ivica Zubac in this case. They're very different players.
Paul Thomas saying Zoo is better than Cat is just bias. Part of it, yeah. But also,
how about
might be better.
Zoo is better as your 5 if you want to win a championship. You have a better chance. Not if he's your number one option,
right?
But Cat's not going to win as your number one option playing the 5.
I would like to see whatever Zoo looks like as the number one option for a team. I don't think that team's very good.
That's why I said,
yeah,
as a number one option type, Cat's going to get you further, but he's still not going to get you a championship.
Yeah.
Zoo is a complementary piece. That's better than having Cat as your number one option that's not going to win for you.
What do you mean? It seems like there's some kind of nuance that I'm rejecting from your argument. I'm seeing it as face value. Zoo is better than Cat. I see no.
That's why we don't do this stuff very often.
Exactly.
People can't see slight differences. As an individual player, you can make the argument Sabonis and Cat are better than Ivica Zubac. But if you're trying to win it all, can you win with those guys in the type of roles that they're in now where they are number one or number two options? I don't think so.
Yeah. Alex Webb saying, let's hope Zoo jumps up to 18, 19 points per game this year. I think there's too many mouths to feed. I don't think Zoo is efficient. The only way that Zoo's getting to 19 points per game this year is if he shoots like 85% from the floor. And I don't mean like we talked about it a little bit earlier. Yeah. There's just not enough. There's only one ball. And he's not going to get enough shots. He took 12 shots per game last year. He shot 63%. He averaged 17 points. So really what you're asking for is one more bucket per game, basically, or just a couple more free throws. So I guess this is possible, but the attempts, is he breaking double-digit field goal attempts per game? He was at 12 last year, which is a lot. His next highest per game was 7.6 the year before. It's a big jump.
I'm interested in looking at the splits because how many was he taking per game before Kawhi came back, who we are crossing our fingers and assuming will be starting the season with the Clippers this time. So if Kawhi's there, he's taking more shots.
What was that, the first 30 games? Or something, right?
Without Kawhi?
Yeah.
Even more.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, man. So, I mean, let's just look at the first. Yeah. I mean, 13 from game 1, 13, 17, 19. But then he'd have games where he'd just take like 8. Like, it's pretty evenly split, honestly. Just a quick scroll here. You know what I mean? Like, because when they were crushing it at the end of the year, funnily enough, you look at from game 66 to game 80, when they really went on a tear, 14, 18, 14, 10, 15, 14, 10, 14, 17, 6. Like, interesting how they were playing very well when he was getting more double-digit field goal attempts.
Now, this is interesting because in the month of March, he was at 13.8, his highest for any month last season. Kawhi's back and playing at that point. That's good to see. That makes me hopeful.
Right? They were playing better. They played better, not because he had more shots, but they were playing better during the period which Ivica Zubac was taking more shots per game, at least later in the season for the Clippers when they won a shit ton of games to win to get to 50. He was taking more shots. It's not a causation, but it is something.
We may have to remember, though, that Norman Powell was out for a lot of that time.
Yeah. Well, let's say we already got an injury to a shooter on the team. So I think we can safely assume that there might be some other guys out too.
Sure.
Guys are going to be out.
Bradley Beal has only played 50 games the last couple of years.
And no disrespect to those guys. You know what I mean? Like, it's just the Clippers way. Like, we're old. There's going to be some guys out. Yeah.
So how about Ivica Zubac ends up with 12 or 13 attempts per game this season, and he doesn't take a step back in attempts?
I'd be ecstatic if he ended with 11.8 or whatever again.
Yeah. I think like just taking the same amount of shots would be progress, considering how many guys are around him and are demanding of the ball.
Yeah, doing nothing, saying John Collins, CP3, Brad Beal, Brooke, how's he going to have more offensive action? I'm hoping for the same amount of offensive action. I think that's the success. I think not, you know what I mean? Like, a success is him averaging 11.8 again.
There was a great line from the late Marty Schottenheimer in like 2010 Hard Knocks with the Jets.
Back when Hard Knocks was good also, when you would see people like really going through shit.
That was with, I think they had the Terminator out there, John Connor, and his son Brian was on the coaching staff, who's now a head coach with Dallas. And you were talking about Mark Sanchez going into his second year. And Marty Schottenheimer goes, he's a guest at practice, says, if you can get your second-year quarterback to play the same way as he did his first year, that's progress. Because you're expecting a sophomore slump, you're expecting him to regress. There's more tape on him. Teams are scouting him better.
He didn't curse when he said that.
Cursing at your players worse than Marty Schottenheimer.
Yeah. Paul Thomas with a good point. We just need Zoo to anchor the defense, especially now since he has to cover for the new guys more. We don't know how much he's going to have to cover for the new guys more. There will be some coverage. There will be some growing pains. He's one of the guys. He's been in the system the longest in terms of games played, for a center on this Clippers team with Ty Lue as the coach. So his value will be felt more on the defensive end.
I honestly think, though, and I've been saying this for years, there's an easier way to win basketball games. It is getting Ivica Zubac more involved on the offensive end. I disagree with this point. You have a guy shooting over 60% from the field. That gets you easy buckets.
I agree, but that's just not going to happen.
Well, just have it happen at the same rate it did last year. Like, I just don't like just have him as the defensive anchor. No. He's a weapon on offense. He has moves. He has hooks with both hands. He has some unguardable stuff that he can do out there. We can't just negate that.
His footwork, he's one of the slowest improvers, and I don't mean that in a bad way. He improves the way that everyone is chasing the outlier, right? You want a guy to come into the league and play like this, and then a second year you want him to go up to top 20 level or whatever. Zoo has been a steady, like 32, like 15-degree incline, like his whole stretch right here. So I agree with the point. I mean, his offense should be featured more. I'm just prepared. I just hope it's 11.8 again.
You can't peak as a team if Ivica Zubac isn't a focal point on offense. Because
not the to be, but a focal point.
Because he offers something they really don't have enough of, just easy buckets. They don't have a ton of slashers that get you easy layups. Ivica Zubac is that guy that can bump up your overall field goal percentage because he's so efficient near the rim.
Yeah.
He beat Jokic from 5 to 9 feet out last season. He was still good in that area this past year. Like, what are we talking about?
Do you think he's making – did he make a defensive team last year? Yeah, he was second team all defense. I think –
he was 6th in DPOY.
Yeah, I think he will – all right, do enough and got me on this one. I'm still banking on Cambodia and Jokic. Hey, we know we got scouts over there. You know that the Clippers are finding the next tiny Jokic.
There's another part to the equation. Paul Thomas still going, he's going to be exhausted from how hard he has to work on defense. If you want your big men to defend the rim, you must get him involved on the offensive end. That's just how it works. It's human nature. They give you a better effort on the defensive end if you're getting them involved on offense. It's
true.
To me, it's a non-negotiable. Ivica Zubac has mismatches all the time. You got to get him going.
The mismatches, that's what's nice with Harden, because I feel like Harden recognizes the mismatch. He said, great, I know how to play basketball. Let's give the big guy with the ball who's being guarded by the little guy. Like, that has unlocked a lot for Zoo, I think.
That's probably
not a hot take at all.
No, but it's a good one. That's probably the most sure way Ivica Zubac stays involved, because he's playing with Harden now, and he's going to keep him involved. And Harden's the one who could have to sacrifice more offensively.
Someone mentioned that earlier in the stream. They were like, I think they were just saying, like, I kind of think that Harden will be more of a pass first guy with the new starting lineup, because we don't have we have everyone can kind of shoot outside of Zoo, obviously. It's going to be interesting to see, because Harden's going to want to make those guys feel comfortable early. So he's going to be conscious of getting them in a rhythm.
I think he'll play more like he did when he first came to the Clippers that first year where Paul George was still there.
Yeah.
He was facilitating more, picking and choosing his spots. That's what we're going to see when this team is fully healthy.
Richard Cabrera saying, no doubt Zoo is a significant upgrade over KST. I don't know how we can compare a human to Korean Standard Time, but I will take your word for it, Richard. I looked that up. That is what KST stands for. All right. Fahad, who we were showing, call them if you have an issue. Zoo should be compared to Kareem. That's it. I hope he brings as many chips as Kareem brought. This is an interesting debate. We'll talk about it midway through the season.
Who's the modern day Bruce Lee Big Zoo could be working out with?
Yeah, where's that at? Thank you, Punk's Gone Ron, for mentioning that. We acknowledge your mention. I'm excited for Zoo's season. I'm excited for basketball to actually start. I think that's going to be very cathartic for all of us.
We need it. No one needs it more.
No one needs it more.
No one deserves it more.
No one. That's a great point. I rambled about this on our last live about how the fans are the ones getting screwed. So I'm excited for the fans to get basketball back, because that is what we should have to talk about. Not bullshit that the fans have nothing to do with, and would have said, please don't do that.
Yep.
What are you going to do if you see Pablo Torre at Media Day on Monday? I'm just kidding.
Give him the death stare. I don't know. Nothing.
That'd be so funny. You just. Oh, here we go. Ghost figured it out. Zoo can train with Donnie Yen. Yeah. Make that happen, Ballmer. Legally, make it happen. Let's
Is
get
that the
Donnie Yen
guy?
out there. Dude,
Oh,
Donnie
yeah.
Yen is the man, dude.
Yep, man.
Yeah. Donnie Yen is like, dude,
He's awesome.
a beast, dude.
I think I've seen all of them.
I like how riled up Paul Thomas is getting. Paul Thomas cannot take a joke. Don't ever make a joke around Paul Thomas.
Yeah.
Johnny saying RKO Papa. That's very funny. All right. I have to go pick up a dog that I'm dog sitting. Our other host is in New York, tampering, trying to get some stars. Adam, please promote your show and please give us one positive thing.
Well, the Clippers talk in Barongo tomorrow is being rescheduled.
Oh,
So
what?
if you guys were going tomorrow on account of me,
What the hell?
I got to reschedule.
They wouldn't give you the presidential suite or what?
Yeah, it's back to the negotiating table. No,
Uncle Adam.
I'll give you guys an update down the line. But we got media day on Monday.
Yeah.
And we're going to get our first conversations really with the media. And we heard from CP3 and we heard a little bit from Brooke. We didn't have a traditional introductory press conference for Bradley Beal or John Collins. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, there was like one photo of John Collins shared. Like the Clippers subreddit was like, there's been no photos of John Collins. It was like, yeah, that's fine. He's kind of Kawhi-like in his social media.
Yeah, that's all good. He wants to float in the background until he's throwing down on two guys. It's fine until he's floating towards the rim.
There we go.
So I'm excited to hear from them, their expectations. If I get a chance, I'll ask Kawhi a question. But yeah, I'll probably come home and after the first hour there and start podcasting on Clippers Talk if anybody wants to jump on it live then.
Yeah. Alex Webb saying, what time does media start so we can tune in? You cannot tune in to Clippers Media Day. That is not something that is possible. So sorry, Alex Webb. Just follow all the amazing beat writers like Tamara Zarli, who ghosted us tonight, as well as Justin Russo, Adam Oslin, La Murray. There's a whole Grant Mona, Joey Lynn. The Clippers beat is great. I want to also give a shout out to everyone on the actual Clippers beat. Yeah, I'm excited for Media Day. I will be watching from work or following from work, and then we'll have a full episode out for y'all probably Tuesday, so we can kind of digest everything. Thanks for hanging on the live stream. Paul Thomas, we hope you have a wonderful night. Don't watch any comedies. It seems very difficult.
He only watches his own movies, which I hear the new one's pretty good.
I'm going tomorrow at 11 a.m., so
Nice.
I am so hyped. Oh, yeah, that was Paul Thomas Anderson. I forget he's a big Clips fan. I saw him in weirdly in an Olawokandi jersey the other day. I was just, at Erewhon spending $7,000 on groceries. I said, is that PTA?
That's awesome.
The Candy Man? All right. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. Adam will be with you on Monday after an hour over on Clippers Talk. If you went to Morongo to see him, get a refund. You deserve it.
Let him know you came to see me.
Tell him Adam sent you.
I got shook. I didn't show.
Yeah.